What's going on? It's Dre Smith, and here's a word on my greatest life lesson. So I've already spoken about this on a short video on my Instagram, but it's so helpful and it has ultimately changed my life, so I feel like I need to share it again. This piece of advice alone has gotten me out of making so many bad decisions and has allowed me to make so many good ones. So without further ado, my greatest life lesson is stop trying to make things make sense and just wait till they make sense. Yeah, it seems so simple, but if you just take the time to ask yourself sometimes, does this make sense? You will realize that there are a lot of bad situations that you can and will avoid. Listen, I say this all the time. Say you want to buy a car, but in order to buy the car, you need to empty out your savings, spend your entire next check, your interest rate's at 25%, and you got to get grandma to co-sign. Buying that car probably does not make sense. And you see it all the time in relationships. People are trying to make someone who does not make sense for their life or their situation make sense. Now, for most people, this may seem obvious in theory. However, we find ourselves regretting decisions because we realize later in life that they did not make sense. So I'm going to identify 3 things that block us from making a decision that truly makes sense. So let's say you're driving down the street and you want to make a left turn at the light. However, the street you wanted to turn down is actually a one-way and it has the big red and white sign that says, "Do not enter, wrong way." So we can establish right now that turning down that road does not make sense. But there are 3 major things that will make you turn down that road, although it clearly says do not enter. Number 1, you just aren't paying attention, so you did not see the sign. And there can be many reasons that this is happening in your life. Maybe in your life you weren't taught to pay attention to certain signs. Or how about this? You feel like you're making things easier on yourself by being less observant because you're fearful that what you might see may stop you from doing what you have already fixed your mind on doing. You may push away the friends, families, and mentors who are trying to offer you sound advice on your situation because they're pointing out things that can interrupt what you have predetermined will be your future with that person. And instead, you keep people around you who agree with everything you say. Always take your side and never point out any of the flaws that you or that person may have. And watch this. And you do it all so that when crap really hits the fan, you can play the victim and say, "I had no idea this was going on." Or how about this? What's the number one reason 9 times out of 10 most of us miss a sign while driving? You are either speeding because you're behind, or you're late, or you're distracted by something. First, let me say this. Do not let people make you feel like you do not have enough time to make a good decision. Because if you're going too fast, you will not be able to see the obvious signs that are right there. Also, you need to stay focused on the decision that you need to make because your focus determines your reality. When someone gets into a traumatic accident because they took the wrong turn, saying they did not see the sign does not heal their injuries, nor does it reverse the accident from happening. So make sure before you do anything else, you pay attention to the signs. Number 2, the second reason that you would not see the sign is because you're intoxicated. Now, I hope none of you all drink and drive while being intoxicated, but we all know when you're intoxicated, you're not all the way there. This is the main reason that Bree and I are waiting for marriage. We did not want to be intoxicated by the physical. We wanted to see the person that we were possibly going to spend the rest of our lives with in the most sober way possible. Intoxication in life is so blinding, and the main thing that people get intoxicated off is emotions. Now, don't get me wrong. Emotions have a place in our life, but it's not to make long-lasting decisions off of. When you approach things with a sober mind, you see clearly. So if you're feeling emotional, stop, give it some time, sober up, so that you can make a decision that makes sense. And number 3, which is the worst one in my opinion, you see the signs, but for whatever reason, you still decide to go down the wrong way anyways. This never works out, and I repeat, never works out, because even by the grace of God, if you go down the wrong way and somehow it works out, you will think you can do it again and again with more and more confidence every single time. But I guarantee you this, one of these days a tractor trailer is going to come rumbling down that one way and you're going to hit it head on, causing major destruction in your life. This is called reckless behavior. All I'm going to say to this is signs are there for a reason. And you're a fool if you think going down the wrong path will result in the best case scenario for your life. If you have to step outside your morals and your character, endure unnecessary harm, stretch yourself financially, or pull magical strings to make something work, it probably does not make sense, even though you may want it to. And that's a word. Thank you so much for watching this entire video. If you want to continue to receive a word, make sure you subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the podcast, and follow me on Instagram. You can also request topics, learn more about upcoming events, and learn more about what I have going on by visiting my site, itsdresmith.com. Remember, you can change your life with a simple word.